So now the next thing that we're going to cover is जब हम एक basic code लिखते हैं तो what are the main things that happen in. So earlier we did the code to print hello world in Python. That was the most basic thing. तो अभी जो हम codes लिखेंगे that will include a scanf. I'll tell you what is the purpose, and printf. Basically simple codes with simple operation and a single function. So we'll start with this case here. Okay, now when we are writing a certain code, सबसे पहले हमने कल एक प्री प्रोसेसर सीखा था. वो प्री प्रोसेसर था that was और hash include studio.h. What was the work of preprocessor? If you remember it from the previous video, write it in the comments. Hash include studio.h. And then we said int main. What was our int main? Int main was a function. And in between these brackets, we write our statements. Now we did printf hello world. But it was the statement जो हमें print करवानी थी. What if, think about it. What if user wants to print something? What is? So what happens in that certain case when जब हमारा user है उसे कुछ certain thing print करवानी है. Therefore, we introduce a new concept that is scanf. But before using scanf, I'll tell you the most basic things that are being used in the code. So first we'll write our preprocessor. Yeah. Then we write our int main function. And then what we write is our type declarations. Now what is type declarations? Supposingly I'm using variables x, y and z. And I say my x is my integer type. My y is my float type. Float is in decimals. Integer is positive, negative, zeros. Yeah. And my z is my character types in words. Or I can say all my x, y and z are in int. So after my main statement, this is the first statement that occurs. So always and always after our main function, we write our type declarations. So if this condition is true, then I'll write int x comma float y comma char z and our terminator. If this condition is true, then I'll write int x comma y comma z, and this is how it works. Type declaration is basically declaring what kind of number, what kind of character I am supposed to add. Okay, after a type declaration comes the arithmetic operations or any other operation. Okay, so for those operations, for the operations to be performed in my C, we introduce the term operators. Yes, operators. There are certain operations that are supposed to be performed in C, and therefore we introduce the term operators in there. Operators are nothing but they are used to perform a certain function, addition, subtraction and all that. Sometimes greater than, sometimes less than, sometimes tell whether the statement is true, sometimes tells whether the statement is false. So I'll tell you main 4 types of operators. 4. Give me the eraser. Okay. Types of operators. So the basic type of operators is first is our arithmetic operator. Next we have our relational operator. Then logical operator and increment or decrement operators. Starting with the arithmetic one, as the name suggests, it does arithmetic operations add, subtract, and divide, and multiply. All those operations comes under my arithmetic operation. Then comes my relational operator. Relational forms relation. Is A greater than B? Or is A less than B? Or is A equals to B? Is A not equals to B, or is A less than equal to B, or is A greater than equal to B? All these relations are under my relational operators. Then comes my logical operators. So the main three types in logical are AND, OR, and XOR. So if I have two statements and both of them are true, then my answer is true. So if I say that my earth rotates and my sun is still, so both the statements are true, hence my AND operator will give me true. Or statements if one of the statements is correct. So if I say the earth rotates and the sun spins, actually logically the sun is spinning, but we'll consider it as false for this particular statement. Okay, so we'll say true since the earth rotates. And for example, I say I love eating glue sticks. Glue sticks are very tasty. And second statement I say is water is a very important resource. So my first statement was incorrect, but my second statement was particularly really correct. So it comes true. So here I say true comma true true, but in this case true comma false slash false comma true slash true comma true gives me true. Then comes our, I'll write it correctly, XOR. It is XOR. XOR. Then comes our XOR. So in this condition, my true becomes false and false become true. So if I wanted to be first, I'll use XOR. Increment or decrement if I need to add something, if I need to decrease something. So they happen in prefix and suffix. So postfix, sorry, I mean prefix and postfix. Post, pre. So in pre, supposedly, I need to do the addition first in the number. Then it's my prefix. I'll do plus plus a. Or I need to do the subtraction first in my number. Minus minus a. If I need to have the number first, and then do the addition, then it is my postfix, then my a plus plus, my a minus minus. So supposingly, I have a is equals to 5. So if I'm doing it in prefix and if I'm doing it in a postfix, so my first output in prefix will be plus plus, so it is increment by 1. So if I'm doing it in my prefix, it will be 5 plus 1, 6. So my first output in my prefix will be 6. But if I'm doing it in my postfix, it will be 5 first, then 6. Now we'll write a first code now. So I'll tell you what is the purpose of scanf here and how are we going to write our code using the things that we learned, that is type declarations, operations. How am I going to use my operations in a particular thing? So first let's find a question. We can say swap two numbers. So we'll start with the thing called hash include stadio.h. So this is our preprocessor. This preprocessor removes our indentation errors and also provides us library for functions like printf and scanf. Then we'll do int main. int main. Main is a function in which we'll write our statements, and by default the first function in C programming is always main. We cannot change the name. Now we will provide the type declarations here. So logic, let's understand the logic first. So I'm doing it with 3 variables first. So if I need to swap two numbers, so I'll say I create number a variable b, and a variable c. So first I'll put the value of a in c. So I'll make c is equals to a. After that I will make a equals to b, because firstly I'll understand, okay? And then I'll make b is equals to c. Now the logic here is the value of A have a laddu, he gives that laddu to C. Now the laddu is with C, and my A is empty. Now the value of B has a laddu and A is empty. So that laddu of B goes to A. So now my A have the B's laddu and my B is empty. But now C gives a laddu which it took from him to B, and now B have laddu that was supposingly of A, and C is empty. So now in this my A becomes B, A have the value of B, and my B becomes A, B have the value of A. We can do it with two integers too, but right now understanding the process is important. That's why I'm using this simple logic here. So I did the int main process, and now I'll do my type declaration. I'll say okay, I use green pen only. I'll say int a comma b comma c and my terminator, because this is my statement. So what is it? This is my type declaration. This is my type declaration. And now we'll use the printf option. Printf. So we write enter the value of a. Enter the value of a. So this printf option this will appear on your screen. You will see enter the value of a on your code. You can write this code on the online C compiler, or I'll also make a video about this showcasing you how it works. So when I write printf enter the value of a, only this statement appears on your screen, on your output screen, but you know what happens in that case? You're not able to give any input. So in order to take input, we introduced scanf. Now we are using scanf here. So we say scanf. See, now we use %d here. D is specifically for my integers. So when I need to put the values of integers, I'll explain it, okay. Hash D and A. So and symbolizes that the value that I am taking will be gone into A. So when scanf appears, we will be able to put the value. So I am saying my A is 20. Now this and takes that value of 20 and puts it in my A. And hash D tells the system that the value that I'm taking is an integer value. So I'll say hash D and A. It is an integer value, and put that value in A. So hash D and A. So my system prints enter the value of A. Then I do scanf and hash D and A, and the values of A get stored into the system. Now similarly I take my printf, enter the value of B, And then what we do again? What will we do? We'll do scanf again. Scanf again. Yes, this is an integer. Therefore, we'll do hash t. If it would have been a char, then we would have used percentage c. So I said hash t. I'm so sorry. It is percentage d. So we would have used percentage c. If it was being a float character, we would have used percentage f. So hash t and b. Now this value is stored. This value is stored in the system. Now system have its A, system have its B. Now C. We do not need to put any value of C because C remains my null. And now I will put into my logic. Now C is equals to A. Explain the logic. Here is equals to is my operator. And which operator is it? It is my arithmetic operators. Then I'll do my A equals B. C was null, the value of A goes in C. Now A is null, the value of B goes into A. Then my B was null, so the value of C goes into my B. Yes, that's how it works. So now it is done, the work is done. But how am I supposed to print it? How am I supposed to print it? Yeah, I'll write the next statement here. Yeah. So then I'll do printf, and I'll do a is hash d, a is hash d, and I'll write a. And then I'll do printf again. That's how I'll write a. Then I'll do printf, and then I'll write b is hash d, and I'll write b and a. I'm so sorry, and a and b. And then I'll do my return 0. As mentioned in the previous video that we talked about, return 0 is a good practice to make. It is no particular value right here, but it tells that the code we have written is true. So in future, when we are using the statements in which we can jump or break or continue based on which our statements are true or false, return 0 helps us understand that, because 0 is for always true and any other number represents false. And then we close our function. Yeah, and yeah, I made a mistake here. Can you catch it? Wait for 10 seconds, see the code, catch the mistake, and then I'll tell you. I hope you would have catched the mistake by now. I was not very serious about adding the terminator here. Not adding the terminator seems very like it is very basic thing बच्चों वाली चीज, but when we forget it and when we are writing a specific code on a C program and we see ओ तेरी ये तो code में ये terminator रह गया, और big codes are literally like इतना time लग जाता है to find the error. The terminator causes error. It is important to write have a terminator written after every statement to tell my compiler, to tell the program that yeah, that statement has ended. Not putting a terminator will cause an error. So remember to put an terminator. So yeah, we do hash include studio.h, that was a preprocessor. Then we'll do int main, that was a function, main function, the default function. Then we do int abc, that was our type declaration. It is of integers type. Then we'll do printf to print the statement that we need to print, and then scanf to store the value of a that we are giving. Then printf, scanf to store the value of b. Then we will write our logical part. This is my logical part. Not only you should know the code, but you should always be clear in the logics. That is DSA that will be introduced further. So logics are your DSA. The more you practice, the more you improve. Then we'll go printf A is this, B is C. So it will be printed and then return 0, a good practice to make to showcase our code is true. And then closing my function. So this is how a basic program is created in C programming. That was all for today. Thank you.